Hi, Jeff Burke here from Broadband Forum, and we're at our Q1 meeting here in Warsaw, Poland. I have bumped into the halls here into Chris Croot, who is actually our co-director of the SDN NFV Work Area. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I say I was having a better time until you bumped into me being here to do this, but that's fine.
Well, sorry to bump into you, but nevertheless, let's chat a little bit about what's going on in SD and NFV right now. I know that really it's been an exciting last couple of months with a couple of pieces of news that have come out of the Broadband Forum. I mean, I know we had our Open Broadband Labs in Europe recently just launched. I know that you've had a series of new application notes that have continued to be published and continue to be worked on and on their way to be published. Maybe you can kind of catch us up to what's going on in SD and NFV right now.
Yeah, definitely. And say, starting with the OB Lab in Europe, I mean, the whole of our sort of continuum of development of the application notes, that's core to the whole of the OB Lab. So that defines the use cases and how the various equipment might be used to drive particular use cases. And that will then be used by the labs to do the testing. That then drives the test cases report that goes to the WT412. Mm-hmm. And then from that information, that will give us the definition of what interfaces are being used, what protocols, what primitives might want to be passed over those interfaces that can be fed back into our WT411 to then define those interfaces, get the commonality between the test cases and help provide those standardized interfaces for everybody to use. So it's really quite a good ecosystem that drives a development cycle.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you all have been extremely busy.
Yes. Well, as I say, we've had quite a few application notes published so far, mm-hmm. And we've got quite a few on the stack that we're developing, ready to publishing. In fact, if all goes to plan, we've agreed that we'll have, I think, 2 being published out of this meeting, and hopefully a few more will follow beyond that. So we're reinstating our bi-weekly conference calls to help drive the application note development. So we're also splitting those calls across the European time zone, US and Asia Pac favourable time zones, so we can ensure that all members of the forum and anybody who wishes to join the forum can of course help attend those calls and develop them. So we're not forcing any particular time zone to have to attend calls in poor times for them.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate that. And I know that just to reiterate, these application notes are then the foundations for many of the test cases that are really being tested at the labs that in Europe here right now.
Why not say yes? Not just Europe, but the US and Asia labs as well. They are the foundation, and the whole point is that those are totally generic, totally open, so you can run them in any of the labs, and you should hopefully see predictable and repeatable results.
Well, great. Well, I guess that gets into my next question, which is, now we have labs in place, we have all these application notes. You obviously have ongoing work going on. Maybe catch us up to what you see coming on in the horizon here over the course of the next coming quarter or two.
Well, definitely. So, we started a couple of new projects at the last meeting. So I'll focus initially on the Working Text 436, which is our access and home network O&M automation and intelligent management. So we started a whole new project stream, automation intelligent management, to cover anything under that wing, and we've had, I think, 8 new use cases discussed under this meeting for inclusion in that document. So for a new working text, wow, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's got great momentum in the industry. Hopefully those use cases will go in over the next quarter or so, because we highlighted that we weren't being clear in the data that they were being asked to collect in order to drive some of the big data and algorithmic intelligence that we're hoping to build into these systems, and putting that back into our template use case, so all of that then becomes standard for new contributions, new use cases to put in. So that should be really good when that comes to fruition. We've got the virtual OMCI paper as well, so that's So we've got the virtual OMCI working text that we're working on, which is looking at how do you control a virtualized ONU when you're hosting virtualized network functions. And we've started that. We've had some very good progress looking at how we can define and determine exactly what's in scope. So some of the questions that have been asked have been fundamental as to, do we look at all kinds of ONUs and take those? Are we looking for, specifically, of course, we're primarily here to ensure that we get interoperability between end units. But we've had some very, very sort of simple questions being asked that you'd think, well, of course we want to do that. But then when you delve into that, there's a lot of underlying complexity as to, well, let's take an example, so just time of day synchronization of an OLT, or an ONU rather. Who should that be under the control of? Because if it's under the control of the infrastructure provider, they might have one view of how that's synchronized compared with a virtual network operator. And of course, things like that come to synchronize the 15-minute performance metric bins that you're going to want to see as an infrastructure provider and as a virtual network operator.
Sure.
So do you then need to have two separate functionalities of that, one for the virtualized instance, one for the physical instance? And it's just, fundamentally bringing those points out and having good discussion within the industry, within the participants, that will then help us provide a much stronger document in the end for everybody to use to drive how they deploy and utilize the functionality.
Right. Well, it's a great example of the subtle complexities that are in here that are the very reason why we're here doing standards and why something like the Broadband Forum exists, right?
Yeah, indeed. So it's been some interesting meetings. Of course, we've started to make use of a lot more of the tools and functionality that the forum provides, such as the wikis and active discussions on those wiki pages, to help drive more agile development, and also ensuring that we're not having pausing and waiting for teleconferences to get things moving. We can start things moving straight away. And also, a lot of companies who are members of the forum don't send participants to every meeting, but they've got an awful lot of engineers back at base and back working for them who can get involved through those mechanisms. So we're increasing the population of people able to help comment and drive the work forward.
Well, I think it's a great point too, because this is a global forum, right? And so we're here in Warsaw today, but we'll be in Seoul, Korea a quarter from now.
Yes.
Back here in Europe in Milan in Q3, and then over in the Americas, over in Panama City in Q4. So just as you point out, we all have all the tools to pull this all together. And but we do try and accommodate every part of the world to make sure that they do get that networking face-to-face time if they can in their region. So
yeah, that's one of the great things, because not everybody thinks the same.
That's
so
right.
you get the diversity of thought that helps improve the work we do.
yeah, and drive these use cases, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, I think that you've done a great job of summarizing a lot of complex information here for us, Chris. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Jeff.
much.
Thank you.
And congratulations to your work area and the team overall in making such progress over the course of the last quarter and last year. And I'm really looking forward to what happens the rest of 2019.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Thanks. Well,
Thanks
this
a
is
lot.
Jeff Burke and Chris Croot signing off from Warsaw.